Welcome back to Ignite Agility. It has been a long time since both of us have been available to have a conversation. Oh my
That's
God.
good and bad.
And today's topic is our reaction to all these posts we're seeing where people are demanding that the Agile Manifesto be updated.
Is
One
that how
little
you picture they say it?
That's exactly how they say it. They go, "Why don't we update the manifesto?" Huh? And the last one I saw was the year 2025 looks nothing like the year 2001. You know what? You're right. And I maintain that these people haven't even caught up to the year 2001 yet. I don't know what you're hearing, in your client interactions and your classes and whatnot, but I'm hearing a whole lot of waterfall being called Agile and Scrum, Agile.
It
They,
just
they
go-
they're not even there yet,
it's, it shows you how strong the pull of the past still is.
right? And then we could go even further back if we want to, but let's pick on the manifesto since that's what these posts are all pulling apart. Okay. So 2001, you have these 17 people write their ideas down. And I plucked out three, but I'm going to pick on you to go first because let's just take a little look at some of the values and principles and see if people are even not only doing those or surpassing it. Do you know what I mean? Like I
Hmm.
might give these people a hall pass if they were delivering continuous product multiple times during a sprint and they were just bored out of their mind because they had so much money and their customers were so happy and they were just ridiculously successful. But I suspect not. So, what's the first thing you would point out?
Coming hot off a certified Scrum developer class, I look at value number three, customer collaboration over contract negotiation. And I even say it in my classes, I for years was only thinking of like outside vendor relationships and how you do that.
Oh, because of a
Of course,
contract
yeah, the
or statement of
contract.
work?
And I forget which XP gentleman I was speaking to. And he said, no, that's requirements. It doesn't work to have people go out and sign on a dotted line that we're going to get this amount of requirements or this amount of scope for this date for this time. And then they bring that to the people who have to make it real. And it's the first time they see it. That was what that was all about.
The
And so,
contract game, Craig calls it. Craig
yes.
Lerman calls it the contract game.
And I did not make that aha until they said, when people sign off on requirements, it becomes a contract. And then the people who see it for the first time who have to build it say, there's no way we can do that.
In that amount of time or that.
Yeah. And then like it's on the contract. We have to do it. So then they're penalized for something they didn't commit to. So that's the big one that I look for. Do the people who are being asked to be on Scrum team, and there's another part we can go to another principle on building, teams around motivated individuals. But are the people understanding the behavior change to you're no longer just going to sit there and do what your title says only in a shorter time frame. You're absolutely expanding what you do to look at intake and output because we're trying to deliver value. This is a value-based approach. And if you don't like the requirements that you're getting, guess what it says? Get off your tuchus and be a part of refinement because when we have people who are building,
Took us.
talking to users,
That's what they say.
well, I didn't go, I was trying to keep up. Tuchus, get off your tuchus, get off your ash, and then get out there and talk to your customers. Because when you take builders and you put them next to users and they talk, really good things happen. So that's one that, we talk a good game in our classes and people talk a good game about saying that, we're embracing this. But then you go and watch a team and they have one anointed person that's doing the user
Mm-hmm.
stories or that's doing that. And they haven't changed the intake at all to be involved. And it takes far less time to bring stuff in when you have the builders involved with that.
It's not a multi-learning organization. It's a learned helplessness
My favorite was it's not my
organization.
job, right? That's not my job. It's like it is now. It is now if you're on a scrum team. You're a part of intake now.
Well, since you want to go to principle five after that, I'll sneak in four before you go there because principle four in your Agile Manifesto 2001, business people and developers must work together daily. That's right. Cats and dogs living together. And today, 2025, I'm still hearing, oh, those people, them,
Yeah.
they. I'm
Yeah.
like, who are you talking about right now? The people in the business. It's what they don't you all play in the same team?
Right.
Isn't the team name on the front of the building?
Yep.
Why are you busy fighting each other all day long? And then the business says, "Oh, that agile thing. That agile thing is for IT. That's a software thing. Those people in IT never deliver what they promise they're going to. I don't want anything to do with that." And it's like, this is not an IT thing. This is a we are all in this together thing. So, why are you so busy in the year 2025 still fighting each other, which is reflected in the language you use when you talk about they? There's an institution we work with, and one of the things that I've been so impressed with them on when we're getting service as somebody, who works with this third party vendor, and I asked our contact there, because everything in what they were saying to me, we,
Yeah.
our, to service you. And I said, do you all subscribe to like a particular method or some sort of mantra, or what's going on here? They're like, it's just baked into our culture. Why would we fight each other all day long?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, your
Yeah.
competitors are your
Business
competitors are
doesn't
busy.
business runs on IT. IT doesn't exist without business. And maybe there'll be a day where we just say exactly like that. It's us, it's we, it's not
It's
departments because
yeah,
we don't care.
yeah, because it's like, okay, people in IT, where do you think you get your money? Oh yeah, from the business.
Mhm.
Hello. So now you can go to 5
So
since I
build
did 4.
it says build projects in the Agile Manifesto. Build projects around motivated individuals and give them the environment and support that they need to be successful. And of course, we can say project is a piece of work and
The sprint.
the sprint.
Every sprint's a start and an end. Delivers a
And
working piece of product.
to your point, Agile is this, IT thing. And so when people hear about it, the people who don't know what they don't know, they'll just take and convert a project team to a Scrum team. Poof, you're now Scrum team. They don't take the time to say, or if they do, I sense they don't because
Oh, I
no one
know they
really sits
don't.
down with them and says, "Hey, we're going to switch to Scrum. Do you know what that means? Which accountability do you think you want to be? Do you want to be a Scrum master? Do you want to be a product owner? If so, we'll get you training. If you are going to be a person that's called a developer, a doer, do you understand how this changes? What parts of your job stay the same, and what do we expect to be different? I.e., C principle number or value number 3. You're going to be involved with intake. You're going to own stem to stern value delivery. You're not just going to do what you've always done. Are you okay with that?
Well, and just to air a little dirty laundry, but the name will be withheld to protect the very guilty, because we do some of this in the leadership workshops that you and I teach. And there was a manager who, and I will give him this, he does actually get this stuff, right? He gets Scrum, he gets Agile, but he was just railing on his team. He's telling me, well, they turn every sprint into a waterfall, and they this and they that, again with the they, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this is their boss. So I said, okay, Mr. Manager, when you chose to adopt Agile, and we've established that you think that means Scrum, that's great. When did you sit these people down who were formerly known as analyst, formerly known as programmer, formerly known as quality assurance tester? When did you sit them down and say, the way you do your job is going to change? Here's what's expected of you. And if you don't meet those expectations, if you're not on board with making those changes, here are the consequences. And he looks at me like I have 3 heads and he goes, I didn't do any of that. why,
Yeah. You
why
know,
are you ripping on them? I mean, every single one of us,
they should know what he's thinking.
right? But you and me too. Like in times of stress, what do we do? What
Yep.
do we do?
Right. You
In the
just
absence of clear direction, we all revert back
2-year-old habits.
to what we know. And that's all those
Mhm.
people were doing. And
Yeah.
shame on him. I mean, because isn't that what managers are supposed to do, is set expectations? So shame on him for not saying, you're
Hmm.
supposed to be motivated individuals. Here's the guardrails. You're empowered within this. And then outside of that, come get me. I'll
Yep.
help.
Yep.
Right.
And so many don't do that because they don't even know. They
Well,
don't even know they're supposed to do that.
it's
That's
bad
where I like our
bossing.
leadership workshop because you can see the faces of the leaders. They'll start to be like, hold on, we haven't really thought about this. We just thought it was something you flipped a switch. Now
Oh,
that's
and for
probably
the
that's a
record,
summary, right? That's a high level. But they start to have more questions to answer after that workshop, which is good.
well, and for the record, when you and I talk about our leadership workshop, that is something we do privately with our
It's not
private
public.
clients because then there's got to be skin in the game so we can make
Yep.
real change. And it's short. It's not a 3-day certified.
Half
You
day max,
can't
maybe
certify
6.
leadership. You
No.
can't. I mean, you can pretend to, but
And we make sure it's the people that are going to be in the room that are comfortable to ask questions because they don't know what they don't know. So we
right.
don't want all the teams in there. We want it to be a safe place for the leaders to go, I don't know what the hell this is. Tell me where I can help. What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
That's the stuff you want from that.
For sure. I've got 6.
Take
So
6.
one of the things that drives me banana balls, which is a highly technical term, is there's a lot of people working remote, distributed, sitting in their house on Zoom every day, Microsoft Teams. Maybe they go into the office once or twice a week, whatever. But I'm hearing a lot of, I can't pair with people because I work remote. And I say can't lives on Won't Street.
Right.
Doesn't mean that they can't, they don't wanna, or they don't know how. And so never before has it been easier to turn on the camera like you and I have. We could even hit screen share.
Yeah.
And, if I were coding, I could hit screen share and show
Take a look
you
at this.
my
Let me show
code,
you. Yep.
real time peer reviews, real time code reviews, real time testing. It's not that they can't pair with somebody or work with somebody else because they're distributed. It's that they don't wanna. And so that's defying what you just talked about in principle 5 with motivated individuals. So
Yep.
principle 6 gets misconstrued all the time. People say that agile stuff means you have to be physically in the same room. That's not true. And so here these guys in 2001 wrote the most efficient and effective method is to get face to face. It didn't say thou shalt be in the same room. Get
No.
face to face, turn on your dang camera. And then you
And
get all
what's
these
ironic?
people who won't do that.
And it's ironic that when we started this, right, people would point to that and say, well, what if we don't have the same room? Well, we didn't have as many tools back then as we do now. So we used to get pushback on that because they
Right.
weren't co-located.
In the same room, but they were in the same building.
Right. And then now it's come full circle to where we really don't have any excuse to not see each other. And then, they talk about screen fatigue and, whatever, my hair's messy. It's just like, well, then be a professional,
Put a
right?
hat on.
Put a hat on. But it's like, if I can't see you, it's very hard to trust. And that really draws on the bank of trust when you have to be trusting that someone is there behind a screen that's blank or just has their name. And then you start to wonder, what are they doing?
Well, what would you do if you were still going back into an office? You'd walk in with a paper bag over your head. Well,
Yeah.
I'm having a bad hair day. No, I got to put this
I would
black
go with a
bag on
box. I
because
would have a
I
box
I
in my
don't want you to
room.
see me today. I mean,
It's weird. It's really weird. And I don't get that one at all. If you're going to work remote, you should see each other at
you're
least
still a
once a day.
professional, to your
And
point.
you should be seeing each other when you talk because so much of our talk is this face, not this face, but just the
Nonverbal.
triangle, right? What do they say? 60 to 90%.
Mm-hmm.
You pick so much up from seeing people. And we're not asking for the camera to be in your face all day, but when you are online with somebody, wouldn't it be good to see and talk to each other? I
You take
mean,
breaks. Even if you were
yeah,
face to face in the same office, you take a coffee
absolutely.
break or you go to the kitchen or you go to lunch or whatever.
Or you
You
go
could still
walk
do
around the
that.
building or something. Yeah, absolutely.
Working software is the primary measure of progress. Number 7. I like to replace the word software with product for those people who say, well, I don't do anything with software. And our company is a services company. So I always say working services, but I'm just pummeled by students and clients and people who are trying to game the system and come up with a OKR, just some random objective key result, a KPI, key performance indicators. Oh, velocity. We'll measure teams on velocity. Oh, you measure teams on velocity? It is going to look
Gonna
amazing.
skyrocket.
No product will be done. It'll be riddled with bugs. It'll be a steaming pile of crap that somebody just slammed in. But look at our metrics. What you
Hmm.
measure gets manipulated. So, seven, way back in 2001, they were trying to impress upon leaders and organizations that all you should really care about is, have we delivered value to our users or customers, or have we not delivered value? And if you aren't doing that, all your fancy KPIs, OKRs, blah, 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 hasn't even caught up to the year 2001 thinking.
I was working with a client here locally, and that principle hit me square in the head because I was working with a team and I forgot to ask them how they've been structured. Are you a component team or you're a product team? And they were a component team. They were a software component team, right? They didn't have testing or anything. So I was like, well, what's your goal? We're trying to have it coded by October. I said, so are you
So
on
much
this is
for a short time frame.
right, right. So like it was August. And I'm like, so they're like, yeah, we'll be done with coding. I said, so you can release in October? Oh no, it'll go to test. I said, so you have no idea when it's going to go, do you? Because that was the whole point. How long does it take you to get coding to all the groups you need to actually get it out the door? That was the aha for me. Even though I thought I understood it, that was the real life punch in the mouth to say, you have no clue until you deliver.
I'll give you a real life punch in the mouth. You want me to do it virtually?
Please, virtually.
Well, those were my three.
I
Those
had
are,
I have nine.
oh, okay. What principle nine?
Continuous attention to technical excellence will enhance your adaptability, enhance your agility. And to your point, you kind of said a little bit earlier, like we can't, we won't, all these things, right? These practices, especially in software. And now with AI,
Oh,
there is
don't
no
even.
excuse for companies that may claim to have the culture of, well, this is how we've always done it. Maybe we didn't really help our people go out and learn other things because we do it this way. And they find themselves behind the eight ball on technology. And yeah, we experienced it. We did not have automated testing when we first did this back in 08. So we were doing continuous build or continuous integration, but we had manual testing and we were generating 50 to 100 builds a day. So our testers, the people who typically tested, were doing that all day long. And so we have no excuse now in how to maybe better automate with what AI does for us. If it's open source that you're working with, of course it's better if it's open source, because if it's not, you can't use AI. But we have no excuse. And if we don't stay on top of it, and what I like about Scrum is it will show those folks, this is the percentage of time we spend on firefighting. Hey, we tried to do these things this sprint, but we had so many things rear its head that we had to jump on that we didn't get stuff done.
Well, that just tells me that retrospective is being misused.
Exactly.
So
Right.
people don't understand the retrospective is root cause analysis on what
Exactly.
created this darn bug in the first place. And then let's not only fix the
Yep.
bug, let's prevent it from ever happening again by fixing our process immediately, not a lessons learned at the end of a long project.
Exactly.
Well, since you threw the AI bomb into the mix, and we won't just talk about 2001 Agile Manifesto, although that's what people are clamoring to have updated. Scrum predated the manifesto, and the article that started the whole Scrum movement was the 1986, the new product development game article that appeared in the Harvard Business Review. And they talk about people working together in a rugby like huddle, and that's as far as some people will read. And I really highly encourage people to go read that article. Oh yeah, haha, rugby like working together regardless of what your function is. But they missed two entire sections of that article. One says, in order to be successful, you must focus on multi learning, not just being a one trick pony, not
Mm-hmm.
just only having one skill in your tool set. And then there's a second section that talks about the organization's transfer of learning. Oh, you think you're such an expert? You think you're all that in a bag of chips? Go teach someone else. Go teach one of your
Mm-hmm.
teammates, so that we're lowering our risk. We aren't single threaded. We can deliver faster. And that was written in 1986.
Yeah.
So if the organizations you just described, like, oh, we'll have the code done
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
October, right?
That
So if we're
was
not even
2015, 2016.
if we're not even having all the skills we need, You need a tester, they're on the team. You need somebody who codes, they're on the team. You need somebody who what fill in the blank, they're on the team. And if they aren't willing to learn from each other, how the hell are you going to learn from AI? How are these, these organizations that are like, oh,
Yeah.
it's 2025, it's the boon of AI, the manifesto is obsolete. No, you haven't even caught up to it. And if you won't learn from another human being,
Yeah.
how are you going to learn from a large language model?
And it lowers our cost of change,
It
right?
totally
That's
does,
what
but
cross
they're
functional
not going to
does.
do it. So it's like,
No. And I looked at it this way, when I'd have to help test, I didn't like it. I don't like testing, right? But then realizing later, because that tends to be my learning pattern, you were learning something. You were learning how to test from a person who knew how to test
mm-hmm.
in that environment. You weren't going to a class. You weren't having to sign up and sift through theory and figure out how do I apply it here. Somebody there that knows how to do it and does it well is showing me how to do it. It's built-in mentorship. It's built-in
Right.
apprenticeship, and it's cheap. It's free. It's such a low cost of training for a company.
Right. But people forget that. Like when people go, oh, I'd have to quit my job and go to school. I'm like,
No,
okay.
no.
Okay. So think about your job right now. Think about every single skill you have right now. Go ahead. Think. You went to school for every single thing you know. Well, no, no. I learned on the job. Oh,
There you
you
go.
learned on the job. Bingo,
Yep.
ringo. This is what we're doing. And
Yep.
we don't like to just, rip on all this stuff and leave you all hanging. We like to give you practical advice here at Ignite Agility. So Christian and I have referenced our short leadership workshop that we, teach privately to companies. And the reason we call it a workshop, it is roll up your sleeves working session. And we'll literally put the 4 values and the 12 principles. He and I just talked about a few of them. We'll put them in front of leaders and we'll send them to a breakout, whether they're on Zoom in a breakout room or in the room in a breakout discussion. And we ask them to identify company structures, policies, and procedures that contradict the values and the principles. And boy, do we have good discussion as a result of that, don't we?
And what it can become is a list of things that maybe they make the decision to pump the brakes and think about it before they go forward. But we also let them know that we have not seen any company look to work a different way and have smooth seas. It
Oh,
was always going to be
nobody
choppy.
says, oh, this stuff's all working perfectly.
Right.
Said no one
So
ever.
note that you have these things and you can tell your teams, we know we're going to have to get to these, but at least we want to start, because the beauty of starting this way of work is it starts to teach you maybe the things we thought we had to worry about aren't the highest things. Maybe it's over here. And that's what's so cool about it, is that it shows you. But it absolutely helps those leaders understand that this is how we help those teams, is we work on the environment and we can identify what we see, but also give them a sounding board of what they hit that we don't see. And we can say, we heard, and now we're working on it.
Well, and sometimes that list, like you said, makes them go pump the brakes. We are so not ready. But the times that I've gotten most excited is when they're like, okay, great. Now what do we do with it? So let's help people one step further. It becomes the leader's backlog.
Organizational. Yeah.
And yes, people, we make them order it. We really try to
No,
leave
do it
that.
all. Do it all at the same time. No.
We try to leave that session with something is 1, something is 2, and how do we do that? We good old dot voting. And if you're little internal voices going, you make your leaders dot vote. Oh, come on. They're human beings.
Yeah.
They happily will stick their dots on the things they feel strongest about, or democratically say, well, 1 dot here, 1 dot here, whatever. But we leave them with an ordered list. And if we really get time, because sometimes we don't, to Christian's point, sometimes you get to the end of the thing and it's like, oh my God, we have too much to think about. But the fun part is if we get to that ordered list, we like to say, who has the authority to tackle this or the influence? Because sometimes you have the person in the room or the virtual room, the CEO, COO, whatever, who can just say, let me take that. I can make org change happen. Or if they're not in the virtual room or the physical room, we'll say, who has influence? Who has
Yeah.
audience,
Yep.
with that person or reports to that person or whatever that agrees to take up the torch. Because the worst thing is to just have that list and then go, oh, now what?
Yeah. See you. Bye.
That was great.
Great meeting. Awesome. Who's going to do stuff? Don't know.
So steal that exercise from us. You can do that inside your organizations, probably easier than somebody from the outside can. But if you want to get one of us involved, because sometimes, we play corporate scapegoat very well.
They
you
made us do it.
Yeah, right. You could just go to collaborativeleadershipteam.com or coleadteam.com. And there is a section on our coaching services. I think the page is even called Pick Our Brain. And you can just sign up, for a conversation with one of us and see where it goes. Who knows? Maybe we'll get invited to do a leadership workshop at your organization.
Yeah, and they go so much better now that we stopped doing the trust falls.
You were doing virtual trust balls, which is what killed it. But we will put that link in the show notes below. Thanks for listening. And we're clear.
Oh, you did the hand thing.